This is Joshua Hart here for Seconds Out. Delighted to be joined by Darren Barker here in Nottingham today ahead of Dalton Smith main event this weekend. Darren, really appreciate your time, and how is everything, mate? You all good?
I'm good. Life's good.
Very good to hear. Talk about this card first of all. Dalton Smith, the belt collector, goes for, I guess you could say, the final strap before he goes for a world title shot. Right, good fight for him just to collect that European title?
Yeah, and it's not one he can overlook. We've heard from him at the presser this afternoon. He's not going to do that. He's too switched on. He understands what's at stake here, and I think having the European title on the line helps him remain even more switched on. I think you just mentioned there, the belt collector. It's one that he hasn't achieved yet, one that he hasn't won. So yeah, he's desperate to win it. He's just to my left there, looking good, isn't he? Looking strong. So yeah, it's a good challenge. Walid Weezer's not bad at all. He's physically strong. Likes to get a foothold in the contest early. Likes to work away. Likes to be busy. So yeah, he's gonna have to be switched on and fully focused. Is Dalton Smith.
One thing that I asked Frank Smith, and I'm going to ask this to you as well, if we see Dalton Smith pick up a world title in 2025, if we look in this domestic scene at 140, well, obviously there's all this talk about Adam Azim. Jack Catterall is also going for the WBO world title. Do you reckon in the next, I guess, 12 to 18 months we could see Dalton Smith versus Jack Catterall and a potential world title unification?
Yeah, because he's at that level. And I believe he can go all the way. I really believe that. He's such a good fighter, he really is. And I believe, a win here, potentially one more, and that's it. Unleash, go for whoever. Whoever's got the belts, whoever's got the straps, just get in there. You've served your apprenticeship, you've done everything that you wanted to do up until this point. You've collected all the domestic titles. Now crack on. Now it's time to go. Now it's time to fulfil your dream. Get in there with anyone.
Just looking away from here, or looking at the chief support, actually, Harry Scarf versus Conor Walker, and a lot of people's opinion could be the fight of the night and really could steal the show. How do you see this fight playing out?
Well, contrasting styles. You got the horrible, as he's nicknamed, Harry Scarf, who can switch, he can move, he can keep it long, he's very tall. Nimble feet, game, never afraid to get stuck in. Against a physically strong, game, hard hitting, I would say, punches harder than his record suggests, Conor Walker. I asked Scarf on stage, is a similar performance to the one in which he won the British title required Saturday night when he beat Eko Osman, who's busy, physically strong, imposing, likes to get in your face? And he said yes, and I think that is the key to success for Scarf. And on the flip side, Walker's got to get close and work away and just be relentless, be busy, be in control of the pace of the fight.
Moving away from here and looking at some of the big news, we've seen that it's now official. Chris Eubank Jr. versus Conor Benn. It's signed, sealed, delivered. 2 years on, almost over 2 years on now from the original cancelled date. How excited are you just to have this fight over the line?
Yeah, I love it. You know, I was obviously a big fan of their dads. I grew up in that era, so now to see that pass over to the sons is special. And I'm glad that the fight is happening now. It's bigger than it's ever been, and it's going to be fireworks. Can you imagine the energy, the anticipation just before that first bell? It's going to be electric, and I'm really looking forward to it.
You mentioned growing up in the father's era, so let me ask you this: how does this rivalry between the sons compare to that rivalry that the fathers had as well?
How does it compare?
Or do you see any similarities with it as well?
Well, yeah, in the sense that they don't like each other. It's just naturally embedded in the two names. They're just not going to get on with one another. But I just think it's sort of moved on to this generation now. And what I mean by that is it's a must-win, because how will either sleep at night knowing that they lost to the other? I think it would be destroying, soul-destroying, and that brings a different element of pressure. Pressure you can only sort of achieve in your nightmares. It's going to be a great event. The build-up's going to be fun. I can't wait.
A lot of talk about this rehydration clause for Chris Eubank Jr. not being able to weigh in over 170 the next day. how big of an impact do you think that could have on Eubank Jr. in the ring come fight night?
Well, with the IBF, the title I won, you have the weigh-in the next morning, and I remember eating pretty much everything I could, and I weighed £7 the next morning. I guess a big part of it is when will the weigh-in take place? If it's moments before the fight, then that could be huge, because I'm not too sure what I weighed close to the fight, but I know in the morning I only put on £7. So I don't know what he goes up to, Chris Eubank Jr. I'm not too sure. But I tell you one thing, it's not nice having that weighing over your head, knowing that you can't go fully in. Even though I did, it was still on my mind, thinking, I better watch myself, I better be careful what I'm eating, blah, blah, blah. Checking your weight all the time, it's a pain in the arse, if I'm honest. So I don't know. I'd be intrigued to know what he usually weighs, to then make my mind up on if it will make a difference.
We've seen a report from the Times as well saying that Sky are a bit unsure as to whether they're going to show this fight. Do you feel this is a fight that needs to be shown on DAZN, TNT, Sky, all the big platforms that can show it?
Why wouldn't they show it? What's their reason?
I can't quite remember, but there's a report from the Times saying that there's worries from Sky as to whether they're going to show it or not. So a lot of people are speculating.
I don't know why you wouldn't show it. He's a cleared man. If there's anything to do with what's happened in the past, justice has been served. Why would you not air it? I don't know.
If I was to ask you for a prediction for this fight, how would you go? What would you say?
I think you would have Eubank favourite, but I think Conor Benn could do something special here. I think the goal is to be busy for him. Well, sorry, the plan will be to be busy, be relentless, non-stop, work rate from start to finish, shots raining in from all directions. I think the Eubank, he's got to try and match that, if not better that, and try and impose that size into the fight. I just feel, I'll be honest, I'm a little bit biased. I'm affiliated with Tony Sims. He used to be my trainer who trains Conor. So, I hope he gets the job done. And do you know what? I believe he can do it. But it's a brilliant fight. I can't wait for it.
Just moving away from this one, we've seen obviously Tyson Fury announce his retirement, which leaves all us boxing fans kind of scratching their heads thinking, what's next for Anthony Joshua? We know he wants to become a 3-time world champion. What fights, if you were managing Anthony Joshua, what fights would you look at making for him to get him back to that level of being a 3-time world champion?
Yeah, we don't know what's going to happen with Fury. Look, past interviews and retirements would say that there's going to be another fight. And if there is, the only fight for Fury would be Anthony Joshua, I believe. But if that fight isn't to happen, then I think if Wilder is going to fight like he used to fight and give everything and just throw haymakers for fun against AJ, then I'm all for it. But if he's going to approach the fight as he did against Parker, then I'm no interest in it. The one thing for sure, though form isn't good for AJ, he's still a huge name, and whoever he decides to fight, it will be big. I like Bakoli in Africa. I love the idea of that. I think that's a great fight. So, yeah, there's always going to be options for AJ.
Just on Wilder, obviously, a lot of people saying that there might not be as much interest. Do you think before we fully start talking about AJ versus Wilder, we need to see how Wilder looks in March, first of all? Is he set to have a comeback fight then, before we start hedging our bets and thinking we're going to get this fight?
Wilder to have a warm-up before?
Reports are saying that he's having a warm-up in March against Curtis Harper.
I think it's required. And if he doesn't go hell for leather and he doesn't try and fight, I'm not saying he can fight like he used to, but at least try and fight like he used to. If he doesn't do that, I think he's got to hang up the gloves.
Well, Darren, I'm going to leave it there. Thank you very much for your time, and I'll see you on Saturday. Perfect. Cheers.